Southwest Airlines had this massive meltdown, operational meltdown, flights canceled, baggage lost, people stranded at airports, in some cases arrested simply trying to get rebooked. And Fox News had a segment during which they tried to blame the Secretary of Transportation in the Biden administration, Pete Buttigieg. It's absolutely ridiculous. Richard Fowler, who I know a little bit, was on this panel along with Tyrus and some other people, a number of different experts, as you can imagine. And he said it's completely absurd to blame Mayor Pete. Let's take a listen to this discussion.
Meantime, just sleeping at an airport, for anyone who's ever done it, not a good time. So
it's such a great point.
That out there.
We have paid for so many flights and bus trips for illegals throughout this. Excellent point, Tyrus. Richard, I'm going to ask you a sincere question. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm going to ask you. No. But I'm asking. Democrats had a lot of hope in Pete Buttigieg. Are they embarrassed of just how he's performed over the last couple of years?
This is not even about Pete Buttigieg, though. Let's be very clear.
But you saw that. He acted like a travel agent.
No, hold on. 90% of the flights that have been canceled in the United States is from one airline. A majority of the flights canceled around the world is from one airline. So to sit here and to blame this on the transportation secretary when you have one airline and one irresponsible, it's not even the employees of this airline.
It's absurd.
No, but you're not answering.
It is. 90% of the I did not interrupt you. 90% of the flights.
But you're not answering what Tyrus said.
But here's, I'm making my point.
And do it.
90% of the airline, 90% of the flights canceled in the United States today are from Southwest Airlines because you have a bad management, they have bad software. You can't blame the flight attendants, you can't blame the pilots, you can't blame the ramp agents. You have to blame the people who sit in the corporate suites of Southwest Airlines for canceling flights. Period. The end of story. To blame Pete Buttigieg for the fact that Southwest can't manage their planes is ridiculous.
You can't blame him for that, but you can critique the response.
Yeah, but exactly. Could they put buses? Could they get buses just like they do for illegals?
This is so crazy.
And move people.
I mean, sure, but once again, this is about capitalism and an airline that cannot manage it. Don't fly Southwest Airlines.
All right, good point. All right, up next, liberal.
Okay, so is anybody else noticing how these small government conservatives all of a sudden become socialists when a private company is failing and saying, hey, the people we've been accusing of being socialists for years, the Biden administration, they're not being socialist enough or even communist and just managing what this private company is doing. So the real reason that this meltdown took place was the Southwest Airlines internal management system got completely overwhelmed. They have a complicated model for assigning flights. They have an antiquated internal system for managing and staffing those trips, and company officials and union leaders and experts are all in agreement about that. First and foremost, the Secretary of Transportation oversees the entire transportation sector. So that includes aviation, maritime transportation, highways, rail, and they have other things that they do as well. Okay. It's a big picture position, the Department of Transportation and Pete Buttigieg as the Secretary of Transportation. The idea that it's Buttigieg's fault that one airline had a massive meltdown because of their own antiquated system, or to try to hold Pete Buttigieg responsible, it's completely and totally pathetic. Now, let's go beyond that, because you could say, well, the context in which this happened is the responsibility of the Department of Transportation or something. Just about all of the things that affect individual airlines actually have nothing to do with the Department of Transportation. You've got weather. Weather's like a category that affects flights. Maintenance issues, deferred maintenance, stacking up and accumulating and creating a problem. Staffing shortages, employees getting sick, for example, as we saw during the COVID pandemic. Technical problems. It has nothing to do with the Secretary of Transportation at all. Now, if you had some new government decree that limited the ability of airlines to, I don't know, do whatever it is they need to do, and you could specifically point to it as a policy affecting all airlines, I would listen. There's no doubt about it. But this is absolutely and completely absurd. Pete Buttigieg is not an operational manager. The Secretary of Transportation has nothing to do with the internal dynamics of airlines and doesn't influence day-to-day operations in any way. And this is just an attempt to criticize Joe Biden's administration. That's really all it is. But maybe even more interesting is the hypocrisy here. This Republican Party these right-wingers on Fox, very low information Republic. I mean, they go for the lowest hanging fruit because that's what their audience expects. The Republican Party has long espoused the belief that government regulation is unnecessary and it's bad for business. Too much involvement from the government is bad. It's not that it's neutral, it's actually bad. We should leave the private sector to operate without interference. In this case, they immediately say, it must be the federal government's fault. We should blame Pete Buttigieg because of the operational delays of one airline, even despite all of the complex factors that are involved there. It's absurd and they are pathetic. And understand that that segment we just watched, they are calling for government intervention. When they say Pete should have done more, what they're saying is the government should have gotten more involved in the operations of a single private airline. That's the opposite of what they normally espouse. So the hypocrisy is galling, and it shouldn't really surprise us because they're more interested in scoring political points, particularly with their audience who seems to have barely a clue what's going on. I mean, this is not my opinion. I'm not editorializing. You look at studies that look at how informed are people who primarily get their news from outlet A, B, C, D. The people who primarily get news from Fox are of the least informed people. In one study, people who get their news from Fox are less informed than people who don't even pay attention to the news, if you can believe that. It's unbelievable. That's who this message is tailored to, which ignores completely that they are calling for the very thing which they claim to oppose, federal government getting involved in the business of private industry. We'll have this clip on our Instagram if you want to see it in its full glory. You can find it by searching Instagram for David Pakman Show. You can also find me on Instagram by searching for david.pakman. One of our sponsors today is Blue Chew, a unique online service delivering the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis in a chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. And they're giving my audience an entire month's supply for free. So if you think you could benefit from an extra boost of confidence when it's time, all you have to do is take a short quiz on their website. A licensed doctor approves your prescription. The medication comes straight to your home within days in a discreet package. No driving around to the doctor's office or the pharmacy. No waiting around. No awkward conversations with your doctor. All of Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA. The entire process is just a few clicks. Go to bluechew.com. The link is underneath this video. They'll give you an entire month's supply for free when you use the promo code PAKMAN. All you have to do is pay $5 shipping.